Hello, all my chickadees! Welcome back to the nest. We're going to be picking up on Sacrarium Pario again. I hadn't realized it'd been 3 weeks since the last part. Ah! I got distracted with everything else. Oh no! So, yeah, we're definitely jumping back in now because, we gotta know what happens, man. I didn't mean to leave you guys hanging so long on that. I'm a, you know, I've got a bird brain. I can't. I get distracted by shinies. But anyway, we're gonna jump back in. Wow, like a lot was going on. We got in a fight with the creator, and he kicked our ass. And let's see, which one? It was this one. This one was where we left off. Yeah, because Viviere wanted to see us. But we found out like a lot in the last part. The creator, oh gosh, I forgot his name at the moment. Isn't it like Volo? He is like super powerful, and he can pretty much look at the wall and it moves. But so he doesn't know his way around the castle. He just literally walks, and the castle moves around him to get him from room to room. So he doesn't know where anything is. It's actually hilarious. But he is also blind, so it's this is so interesting. I love this demo. I didn't mean to leave it hanging for 3 weeks. Ah. Okay, let's jump back in. If I don't get the voices the same as I did in the last 2 parts, forgive me. It's been a bit. What did Viviere want with me? Oh yeah, Viviere's like out in the garden or something, and he wanted us to go by. He made his opinion of my presence very clear. Thus, it made no sense to me that he'd want me around. It would make more sense if he wanted me far, far away. I followed the twitching, two-legged aberration reluctantly. Oh yeah, like a monster thing came to lead us around. If I failed to show up, something would drag me there. An act of direct defiance might set him off. I didn't know what his limits were, and I didn't feel like pushing them yet. The two-legged humanoid scampered much faster than me despite his appearance. A few times it would round a corner before poking its head back around to blow out in a loud exhale in my direction. It's so annoyed or slow. I caught up with ease, maintaining enough distance to give me room to dodge if it lunged at me. We passed other creatures that ignored me. I ignored them right back, fighting the urge to curl away from their bloated bodies. Besides the plants, they seemed to be the only living things around. That perspective changed when I reached the garden courtyard. Oh, that's pretty. Do you see all the flowers before the text box covered it up? Ooh, is that like a hedge right there in the background? Oh yeah, definitely. It's a hedge. You can see part of it in the front too. Ooh. The place was overgrown with plants of all kinds. I watched tiny earth elemental golems totter around. Their heads were shaggy messes of vines and flowers. They were almost cute to watch, pulling at weeds and watering plants. Something even more surprising was the presence of the vultures. Animals detested the living gods with a burning passion. No fish swam in the blood waters due to its hatred. Despite that, these vultures sat fat and uncomfortable, snacking on unidentifiable human parts. Okay. I think I know why. Because the creator, he kidnapped a lot of people off that ship if he thought they had like traits and stuff he wanted to play around with. So he's like experimenting on them, and when they die, or the parts get taken off that he doesn't need, just throw them outside for the vultures. The vultures are apparently very well fed in this part. The vultures noticed me, but they paid no mind. The aberration let out a strangled noise of some kind, bouncing in place 3 times. Then it scurried away to continue what it was doing before. Hello? I called out. The garden had many dense and high bushes, making it impossible for me to spot Viviere. A bundle of roses rose from a bush. It was an earth golem, bigger and more mature than the little ones. The golem waved a leafy hand at me before hobbling towards me. Its vine hair reached out and tugged on my chains. Please don't pull. The golem listened and let the chains go. Oh, thank you. It walked with a janky, inhuman motions. When it paused to make sure I still followed, it didn't turn its head over its shoulder. No, it rotated its entire spine at the hip to look behind it. It's like a Barbie doll, you know? Just... In a way, the humanoid golem was as bad as the flesh creatures in the castle. It was human enough to be disturbing. The gardens began to open up as we grew closer to the center. There he is. Oh, he actually looks happy. I guess, is that giant fingers in the background? No, they're not, right? Kinda looks like nails right there at the bottom, don't they? I'm not crazy, right? Okay, he looks happy gardening, doesn't he? Viviere stood near a fountain, arranging flowers in a human skull. Okay, well, that's an interesting flower pot. He spoke softly to someone I couldn't see. No, do not break his study windows. I'm upset, but... He cut himself off upon noticing me. The little guest has arrived. He looked at a wall of green plants. We will continue this conversation later, all right? He waited, then nodded. I will. Stay safe. Large fingers I'd mistaken for vines curled over the top and disappeared. So, they are fingers? The thing had to be massive, but it didn't make a single sound. Sorry to interrupt. It is the nature of guests to get in the way of work. I couldn't help myself. I raised a brow. Work arranging flowers? Viviere gave me a long, flat look. He raised his skull in his hands, and I watched his eyes glow. He raised the skull in his hands, and I watched his eyes glow. Viviere reached into his chest. His hands disappeared inside himself. He pulled out a faintly glowing light. He slid that light into one of the eye sockets of the skull. The flowers in the skull sprang to life, growing long roots and vines that began to form a humanoid body. Are you out here creating the golems? Flowers overtook the skull, hiding it from view. A new little golem was born. It bobbled its head questionably a few times. Viviere gently set it on the ground and patted its head.
How cute.
There you go, little one. Rosentide. He looked at the older golem that still stood beside me, unable to not shake side to side even when standing still. Take this new little one and get him started on the task. He'll be in your plot. The golem nodded and walked over. It picked the little one up and walked away. Viviere leveled his cold gaze at me once more. Our list of tasks grow ever longer. We need more helping hands. I've been very busy. How many elementals do you two control? The question came out before I could stop it. A few 100,000? Holy crap! That's a lot. That must take like a bunch of energy to like create all those, and I don't know if they have to maintain them? A few 100,000. Oh my god. These creations are not elementals, though. What are they then? None of your business. I bit my tongue. I doubt angels would work with beings like, Violo and Viviere. Thus, if they weren't elementals, that only left devils or something new entirely. Viviere moved to sit down at a small table set up with food. Sit. Eat. My love would be annoyed if you starved yourself. He picked up a porcelain teacup that looked almost comical in his big hands. I will force feed you if that need be. Do not test my patience. Yeah, he is only putting up with us because Violo is interested in us. I sat down at the table with a sigh, eyeing the food to determine what parts I felt safe eating.
Annoying.
There is no way in hell you are as picky as a mercenary. You're right. I'm not picky. They aren't poisoned. Yet. All guests get at least 6 days as a grace period. Grace period? I'm not the first one up here? No. Violo keeps anything of extreme value out of the dungeons. It's been a while since we had one. Doesn't that bother you? It does. He gave me a sharp grin. Luckily, his interest is ever fleeting. 6 days is usually how long it takes him to grow bored. He took a sip of his tea. I clenched my fist under the table. The weight of that countdown had me tenser than expected. 6 days was hardly enough time to escape, or try to curry enough favor to survive for longer. Stop staring and eat already. His hand with a teacup hovered above the plate. He narrowed his eyes at me. To avoid finding out how unpleasant it'd be to be force-fed, I picked a few things to eat. The tea was relaxing, not too strong in taste, nor too weak. I greedily downed the cup. I suppressed a flinch when the cup moved from the plate and the pot moved to refill it. Is everything here alive? Yes. It's a lot harder for Vivio to lose something when he only has to call for it. Okay, they have a point there. Because if everything is sentient and can move and do things, it makes things easier on him because he's blind. Can't bump into tables if they move out of the way and so on. I wonder if the things I touched and observed in detail would report my snooping back to the pair. My cup returned itself to me, and I drank more tea to calm down. It's pretty much like a beast castle, isn't it? It didn't help. Viviere's golden gaze pinned me to my seat, overwhelming and critical. He didn't say a word either. His silence made each clatter of culturally sound like a canyon fire. I didn't say a word, but I matched his stare. There are important notes to catalog about you. Vivio is too busy for such autonomy.
The things I put up with.
I like his voice. I am going to take those notes. To begin, where and when did you receive your training? Private mentorship from a young age. Got taken under the merc's wing after my parents died. Was this mercenary famous? No. Never broke into the big news. Powerful, perhaps? Standard, Scalartia spell word. Good on land and the seas. Nothing to write home about. Viviere scowled. That was your only source of education? Yes. No teachings from a monastery? No secondary teachers? My only other teacher was experience. Your condition is not related to your education, then. Did you think a mortal unlocked some kind of spell? It very well could have been the case. That'd be insane. Yeah, because, our body, if I remember right, it's like, we don't have any magic, I think. Okay, I'm already confusing myself. But, yeah, maybe we don't have any magic in our body. Or something, but Volio, he's blind, and he can only, like, find people if they have, like, a bit of the spirit in them, which every creature should have it, and we don't. So he honestly could not see us. So he finds this absolutely, like, amazing. Viviere gestured to himself. I am the product of a mortal unlocking an unthinkable spell. I grimaced and took another sip of my food. No symptoms of familiar poisons kicked in. I forced myself to eat slowly to avoid getting sick. To your knowledge, is your family cursed? No, we were rather devout when I was younger. That changed. You can only see so much of the world before it shakes your faith. I see. He leaned back in his chair.
Annoying.
Annoyed that my condition is physical? Yes. Why? Take a wild guess. I thought about it. Don't tell me that you're that easily jealous. Very much so. Viviere is too. He doesn't speak about it openly. I mentally noted that down. Well, I might as well see if you're entertaining. What? Tell me, what is love? I stared back at him. I failed to see the purpose of this. To see if you'll be entertaining to me as well. If I have to endure your presence in my home, you might as well entertain me. Entertain you in what way, buddy? You hate our guts, and then you're like, what do you think love is? I'm suspicious. Might need help, Golem. Now answer me. What is love? The question had a simple and complicated answer. Viviere let his cup go refill itself. When it settled back down, he put sugar into it and stirred the mixture. He didn't break eye contact with me while doing so. I didn't need to see into his mind to know he was cataloging everything about my reply. Oh, that's probably gonna make us break us, guys. Okay. I'm actually gonna go to the next page to start saving stuff. I refused to answer. I kept my answers neutral. I aimed to be impressive. Let's say neutral. That's safe, right? Right? Viviere's attitude towards me was hardly pleasant. I doubted I could do much to improve it, but I could at least not make it worse by playing along. The answer depends on who is asking. For you, I imagine love is unbridled devotion.
What?
He tilted his head. How so? Even our brief interactions had shown that you are deeply devoted to Violo. You tolerate things from him I imagine no one else would get away with. Thus, I assume you show your love with devotion. He paused to think. What about you? What is love to you? Reciprocated kindness, security, and affection. What is kindness? I've fought the urge to frown. That is also something that depends on who is asking and why. You won't offend me by giving me your opinions outright. I doubted that. It's a genuine opinion for me. The question requires clarity. Otherwise, the response would have to be a written essay. If I asked you to write an essay, would you do it? Is this school? Is this school? You want us to freaking write you an essay about love? Oh no. I did not sign up for this. Can you read ink on paper? I expected offense, but he only chuckled.
Of course.
Yes. Reading and writing were part of my education. Obviously, I can read and make touch site documents as well. Yes. Yes, I would write the essay, but I do not think they'd be good. But I could at least get all my thoughts down. Noted. For now, what is kindness to a bitter person? Bitter in what sense? They hated the world. Are you talking about yourself, bud? They see it as a pity then. Some people can still understand kindness while bitter. Others would be unable to accept it as anything other than condensation. Viviere's sincere expression did not waver. The questions continued down this line, all overly vague and open-ended. Each time I request clarification to play it safe, and I tried the best not to give my own opinions. In the end, our meal finished, he sat back with a sigh. Well, I suppose your head is doing more than making sure your heart beats and your lungs breathe. I held back a comment to that. I can respect the caution as well. Imagine you're used to overly emotional nobles liable to throw a fit if you say the wrong thing. Yes. I hated jobs from the nobility for that reason alone.
You are tolerable.
Thank you. He doesn't want to murder us at the moment. Yay! Neither impressive or impressible. Tolerable, at least. Thank you? Don't thank me yet. Observations can change. I believe it's in my best interest to see it improve. I look forward to seeing your attempts at that. For now, be off. You're done for the day. My love is coming to show me something, and knowing him is something gruesome. I had no desire to see what something gruesome was. Understood. I got up and gave a polite half bow out of habit before leaving. His eyes followed me until the flowers overtook me. I didn't relax until I made a sizable distance between us and the garden. It was difficult to navigate out of the garden without a guide, but I managed. Oh, I wonder what would have happened if we would have been, like, super impressive. Would have made him more interested in us, or... But at least we're at the point where he's like, well, maybe your brain is not useless. You have a little bit of sense. Maybe not the best, but you have a little. So. Another two-legged flesh abomination waited for me in the castle. I had hoped I'd be able to explore some more, but the creatures corralled me into walking where it wanted me to. Back to our room. In the end, I found myself back in my current room. The door shut behind me, but I could still hear the thing wheezing on the other side of the door. My free roaming had been noted. I wouldn't be able to go out anymore today. I refused to be unproductive. I searched around the room for something sharp. Then I found a piece of furniture I could move with a little noise. In a few minutes, I had 6 circles with 2 crossed out drawn in on the back. 4 more days to curry favor if I wanted to survive this first week. 4 more days to try and find a way out if I wanted to risk it. I stared at the countdown and sighed. Sleep remained difficult. Oh, hello, guys! I didn't expect to find 2 people looming over me while I slept, but the sight shouldn't have been surprising.
Ah, hello.
Ah, you're awake.
Hello!
Good morning! How long have you 2 been here? The pair shared a look. We don't know. Oh my god, guys! How long have you guys been here? We don't know. Well, I sure as hell don't know if I was asleep. It felt like forever, but our sense of time is extremely broken. It's been a while since we had a guest alive long enough for longer increments of time to pass. An hour or 2? Maybe. I'm not sure. I groaned and sat up, rubbing at my eyes. Why didn't you wake me up? Mortals need sleep, or they begin to degrade. We can't wake you up willy-nilly because we feel like it. Couldn't you have waited somewhere else? We got caught up talking. Oh my god, guys. This is why it's intolerable to be around immortals when you're mortal. They're just like, yeah, we've been here for 2 hours watching you sleep. Okay. Okay, then. The two shrugged in unison. I fought to keep my emotions off my face. What do you desire? I needed to move the conversation along. For you to join us for meals. Somehow that felt even more ridiculous than waking up to them in my room. Did Viviere, like, report back to Volio, being like, well, you know, you can hold the conversation with him? And now Volio's like, yeah! We can take him to meals with us. Pardon? Viviere leaned over and snapped his fingers near my ear. I flinched to the sound and rolled away from the pair. That hurts. Your hearing hasn't begun to fade. I didn't ask out of not understanding. I asked out of confusion. You want me to take meals with you? Yes. Viviere rolled his eyes. Join us. My morning-addled brain took a few seconds to catch up. I didn't exactly have a choice. They dragged me along even if I said no. Can I at least have time to wash my face? In private? The pair actually left me to wake up. Kind of. I stepped outside and found them waiting on me, body language indicating a conversation I couldn't hear. Are they blushing?
Fantastic!
They look like they were both blushing, didn't they? There you are, come on. Volio babbled the entire walk through the hallway. He asked me inane things. What company did I work for? Where was my active zone? It almost felt like a job interview. Viviere didn't comment at all. He observed Violo badgering me like it was nothing new. Well, he's a curious little bean. He wants to know everything. The dining room they brought me to had been recently cleaned. It smelt of cleaning mixtures and polish. Do you two not eat? I asked a question after being set down across from them. We eat in our bedroom. Are you eating something different than what I'm eating? I have a feeling you guys might be eating something a little more R-rated? Maybe? I am not letting you in there yet. What? Because really, what else would they be eating in their bedroom all alone? Huh? They have a perfectly good dining room. Guys. Ah. The two did eat alongside me, Vivio chatting up a storm. On some level, it was impressive how much one little man could talk. Viviere idly sat by, commenting every now and then, his dark eyes heavy on me when not looking lovingly at Violo. I assume good results are the reason for this effort? I asked to confirm my own suspicions in a moment of quiet. Good enough. Good enough? Not particularly noteworthy. Violo snapped his fingers and pointed at me while he clarified.
I made the right choice.
Not bad either, though. Satisfactory. Progress is being made, and that's what's important. His smile became a bit dangerous. I'm so glad and a little sad that you aren't obstinate. On one hand, breaking arrogant mercenaries is fun. On the other, it's nice to be able to make progress with less effort. Viviere hummed. Keep it up. It makes our life easier if you do. Alright. The rest of the conversation felt more than a little bizarre. I was able to ask more about the island and the Bloodwaters, and they actually gave me answers. Most of what I learned confirmed that trying to swim away would be a death sentence. Hells, the island alone has enough things that would kill me before I even touched the water. I mentally cataloged every piece of information they gave me. In the end, the pair left first, ever busy. Once I finished eating, I didn't have a creature ready to herd me back to my room. It was the perfect opportunity to explore this place more. My exploration remained slow and cautious. While the odd creations running around didn't seem hostile, I refused to chance it. I focused on scavenging for useful items. A thick nail, a few pieces of paper, some thin sticks I burned to make charcoal. In about 2 hours, I was finally able to start drawing out a map of sorts. I'd have to be extra cautious not to smear the charcoal without a sealant to hold it in place. It was better than relying on my memory alone. But think about it. The walls and everything move, dude. The walls, the furniture, everything moves. To Violo's whim. What are you gonna do if everything's different? In fact, my new map had me realize something horrible. The routes were inconsistent. I told you. I mean, he's trying, but at the same time, dude, it was pointless. I tested by trying to repeat paths, only to notice the doors and hallways shifted. Closer observation let me guess the castle shift to reduce travel time for aberrations. Each shift only happened after I saw one leave an area, so I was pretty confident that was the case. I crouched near a door, tired from the awkward shuffling. I rifled through the maps while I thought. The map would be inconsistent, but what if the creatures had a schedule? If they did, I could gauge the timing and make predictions, but that would take days to test. Days I didn't have. Fuck! A loud bang followed by a series of thudding interrupted my thinking. The doors I set beside fell open, books flying out. Even without my third eye, I could taste the energy shift in the air. The lights in the hall extinguished to nothing. The air tasted like copper and dirt. The overwhelming smell of sweet flowers had me holding my shirt over my nose and mouth. Out of my business! Oh, what happened? The roar shook the area enough I almost fell over. You insist on nitpicking every goddamn thing I do like it's your job. Well, I hate to break it to you, little hay. While a mere might coddle your widow precious ego, a mere genius is nothing in the face of a prodigy. Especially a spineless, pathetic, hypocritical one that doesn't have the balls to do what needs to be done. A new voice actually yelled back at him. Oh, a new character? I have told you once, I will tell you again. Anything with a saw can do needlessly brutal task you call work. The scent was thick, foreign, and strange. Icy contempt dripped from each word. It takes no skill to be a butcher. There is enough. A woman's voice cut through the argument. She also had an accent, but this one I could place. She sounded like an older Verdani. The specific dialect sounded like anything I ever heard. My curiosity had me leaning in to hear more. Himios, take your high horse to the stable and leave unless you intend on backing up what you're throwing down. Violo, calm yourself now. The shock waves you sent off shook one of my territories. You're not my babysitter, Nicaire. I assure you I don't want to be, but even a mayor has noticed the two of you have been getting nothing done. I heard 2 annoyed groans. I sat dumbfounded. Hemios and Nicaire were names I only heard in passing from foreigners. Most people knew their local living god, if they had one. Listening to 3 of them talk was unheard of. My apologies, Nicaire. I know you have other things you want to do. Oh, so now you're being a kick-ass. Fucking... Violo's speech went quiet enough for his frustrated rant I couldn't hear him. The gentle volume of the conversation faded as well, leaving me awkwardly crouched by the door. It was impossible for Hemios and Nicare to be here physically. They were bound to their prisons, but far-talking mirrors had become very popular in the past 5 years. Oh, that's pretty cool. If Vivio had one, I could call for help. I gathered the items I dropped and hurried back towards my room. Oh, he's just having a little meeting with people in, in other areas. Getting caught listening in would be a death sentence. To my surprise, the pair summoned me to lunch. The two greeted me warmly. The room had been tidied up a bit, and a few extra candles had been lit. Is the food all right? Our chef was broody today, and he tends to oversalt things when he's annoyed. It's fine to me. In all honesty, the food I had here was far fancier than anything I've eaten before. Some part of me had expected slop and dirty water, but no. Everything had a rich taste and a pleasant texture. Only fine? I might need to break his hands again. I told him to impress. Again? You broke your cook's hands? How's he supposed to cook for you if you broke his freaking hands, dude? Oh my god. Violo. Oh my gosh, I say his name different every time. Rolled his eyes. Hundreds of years could fail to culture even the most stubborn of men, I guess. Is the chef a prisoner? Not like you. He lost his form a long time ago. Rightfully so. Violo's mood darkened. He chewed on his goblin a bit, somehow cracking the metal with his teeth. Oh. Please don't feel any pity for him. If you think he's a monster, he'd be a devil himself. If you think I'm a monster, he'd be a devil himself. Which is why we shouldn't talk about him any... Oh, this is Viviere. I'm getting the voices confused. Which is why we shouldn't talk about him any longer. How has the mattress felt? Not too rough? The pair asked me more about the conditions of my care. It was sad to admit that, beyond their hostage and chained up, beyond being their hostage and chained up, I rarely had lived better. I couldn't count how many times I slept on the street and starved for days. I'd gone weeks without bathing before, and water always took priority over food. Here, the bed was soft, even if the room was dusty, food came consistently, and I always had water available. The pathetic reality of it all had me sighing. Oh, we're back in his little library, lab thing. The pair returned to work, and I snuck my way back to the study. Okay, it is a study, but he was in here, goofing off with stuff last time. Oh, look! There's his picture of Viviere. He has a picture of Viviere on his wall. Violo wasn't there. That probably wouldn't last for long. I hurried into the room and began poking around, trying to ignore all the gore. Yeah, you see, the blood all the way across the carpet here? And, little spots over there. And, don't forget the skulls on the table. My mind indexed all the information I had on magic and recent magical items or discoveries. Most of the mirrors used mercury or obsidian, so I looked for those. The messy room almost tripped me a few times, but I stayed on my feet. The biggest concern I had, beyond speed, was minimizing signs I was there. I wouldn't leave magical traces, but knocking things around could make him suspicious. My heartbeat continued to ramp up with my growing fear and frustration. Fuck! Damn it! I rested against a grimy bit of glowing glass near the back to catch my breath. Oh, right here? Is that where we're resting? I heard them. I know I did. I punched the metal my hand was pressed against. The motion had the chain on my wrist clattering against it. Pain lanced through me while the runes on the chain flared. I recoiled back from the slab of glass, only to realize that under the grime, I saw my own wincing face. Then, a pair of solid gold eyes opened in the space. I froze. Oh. I thought I sensed something strange. The eyes trailed down to my wrist. They're still using the chains I gave them. They should really have fixed the open energy circuit problem. The voice let out a fond sigh. Really? They're both so reckless. How? The question sounded dumb even to my ears. How could they fix the problem? Or how did I know you were here? I could hear a smile in their voice. My ability to talk dwindled down to nothing. The voice let out a chuckle. I assume you got too close. When the chains attempted to suppress the magic of the mirror, it caused a disturbance in mine. Good thing it did, too. Violo mentioned finding something interesting. I did not expect it to be a live specimen. Finally, my might caught up to the situation at hand. This voice spoke of Violo sadly and fondly. It didn't match the other two I heard today, nor was it Viviere. Amari? The voice replied confidently and calmly. Yes. I felt my heart drop into my stomach. For a moment, hope and despair warred within me. Are you all in contact? Yes. In the end, desperation won. Even if it would be futile, I had to ask. Please, help me. The golden eyes narrowed a bit. I'm afraid that would be a bit complicated. Give me a moment. The eyes faded. Wait, no! I choked back a noise of fear. They said to wait, so I bit my lip and waited. The golden eyes returned, accompanied by icy blue ones and fiery orange ones. He went and fetched the other two. One of their captives made it to the top floor. How are you not dead, human? Wait, I'm not one of their usual guests. I couldn't have them mistake me for the pair's usual prey. They'd never help me then. What? Wait, did I skip that? What? He violated his own code? The genuine surprise baffled me. This is out of character. Is he sick? This is strange. Either way, it doesn't matter. He's not allowed to take people outside the select types we've allowed. Oh, so that's why he went through and he was like, this is this type on the boat before he was picking out who to take. Ah. I'll send a boat immediately. Relief welled up in my chest. Absolutely not. They might as well have ripped my heart out. What? Why? I am eager to hear the reasoning as well. You can't be serious. To begin with, a hand reached out of the mirror. It was made of golden light, a bronze bangle hanging on its wrist. The hand snapped before retreating. To make sure Violio's observers have nothing interesting to report. Now, onto the reason why sending a boat in would be foolish. It'd never make it. My ships have some of the best crews in the world. All crews are at the mercy of nature. Right now, the Bloodwaters is having an energy swell in response to Violio's agitation. Is my fault? Yes. He's like, wait, is this my fault? And she's like, yeah. You pissed him off earlier. Enough. The brewing squabble died quickly. The forming riptides and hurricanes would destroy any ships passing through. That's assuming Violio doesn't get his hands on them first. Beyond that, we cannot get into an altercation with the pair. The fight would drown at least 6 small islands, killing thousands of people. Oh my god. We can't ignore this violation. I'm not saying we ignore it. I'm saying we be careful. Stop putting words in their mouth, Hemos. There was silence. Avoiding confrontation would be better. Not that your opinion matters much. You're not strong enough to do anything here. The blue eyes narrowed, but he didn't challenge her. Why did you even call him here, Amar? Hemos. Do you think you could make him immortal if I helped you? Wait, make us immortal? I could, but I refuse. My jaw dropped. He was quick to explain. It is a mercy for you, I swear. Who knows what Violo and Viviere would do if I did that. They've wanted this spell for years. Amir let out a disappointed sigh. You can leave now, little snowball. Perhaps Nekar was correct that you do not have the experience needed to comment father. But no buts. Off with you. Stop being stubborn. Amar and I will handle this. With a weary sigh, the icy eyes faded. That was cute. She called him little snowball. Or them. I don't know what Amar is. But the other two was like a female and a male. Silence reigned until Nekar broke it. What are we going to do? Send some of your people to brace the islands nearby should an altercation occur. That way, we can try to prevent the islands from sinking due to the backlash. In the meantime, I will begin to make a path for a ship to sneak in by convincing some of the elementals to lie. The golden eyes locked onto my own. This will take time. We cannot act rashly. We're hoping for a stealth mission then. Yes. Once the path is ready, your men can race to the island. Mortal, when the time comes, you must find a way to the beach. Pario might be small, but it's still big enough I can miss the ship. Don't worry, I'll also be working to get a guide for you. While we cannot rush in like heroes, I do not intend to leave you there forever. You've got to keep your head down, though. A corpse can't run, and we can't protect you if you push their buttons. How long? I'm uncertain. The surge is distorting everything. I felt... Okay. Save. Oh, this is interesting. We're like getting help. Possibly. Frustrated, scared, understanding. Because, frustrated because we'd have to wait to escape. But I mean, before we met this mirror, we didn't have any way out anyway, so we were just calmly figuring out what to do. Scared? Yeah, it would be kind of like scary to have to wait, because if it's longer than 4 days, we're probably gonna die, including, was what Viviere was like leaning towards. It was like, oh, he gets bored like in 6 days. No, don't worry. Understanding, I think we should be understanding because they're trying to figure this out. I see. I'll try. My stomach rolled. I think I have some time. Vivio wanted to poke around in me some more. I'm a magical void of some kind, and he just started his research. A void? That's not what he's supposed to be looking into, right? Amar was silent for a time. I see. See what? Amar, you know I dislike it when you're vague. Sorry. Amar let out a faint laugh. I was surprised he hadn't told me about this yet. It's irrelevant to the conversation at hand. You're correct that the research should buy you some time, but do not think it will be enough. You need to at least curry neutral feelings from them. Do your best to keep them from hating you. Remember, head down, nice thoughts out loud only. We will begin to work to rescue you, immediately. For now, you must leave. Violo will be suspicious if we talk any longer. Stay safe. If you can't do that, at least stay alive. I nodded and watched the eyes fade away. With no other option, I snuck out of Vilio's study and returned to my room. I carved another X onto the circles and added a few more circles to my tracker. One more day, down with an unknown amount remaining. It's getting harder to sleep that night. After I tossed and turned, I eventually forced myself to sleep. Horrific nightmares of hauling myself through blood and fire tormented me. Hands outstretched pulled away, kind smiles turned into vicious grins. Each death forced me into a gasping awake. The issues of today were nothing compared to the coffins stacked on my past. It was no surprise that my new stress had made my nightmares worse. I managed to force myself asleep each time, but my body felt worse and worse. I woke the next morning with nothing new in my room. Even looking closer, I saw no signs of someone poking around. Okay, we're gonna stop here, because this feels like a perfect time to stop. So we've been... This should be our 4th day, I believe? I think? Maybe? Yeah, 4th day? And, oh my gosh. We might be getting rescued by, like, those... the other entities, immortals. But we have to make sure that they don't... they don't hate us here. Be like, hey, yeah, we're your buddy, we're your friend. So if they don't hate us, they possibly won't kill us quickly. So we'll have a chance to waiting out until we get rescued. Okay. But they were definitely blushing at each other at that one point. They are lovers. Alright. I'm going to leave this part here, like I said before. Link down below, as always, if you want to check out the demo for yourself. And I will hopefully get the next part up much sooner than this part went up. Leave a comment down below. Tell me what you thought about the episode, and if we're going to survive the 6 days, or are we going to die much sooner. Alright, I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!